and welcome to the Below the Belt podcast. It's good to be on, and folks, I know we are late today, but we were waiting to hear some corruption from the install Irfan Ali, and we think we've just heard that, folks. And we are going to be talking today about the PPP's amendment to the Natural Resource Fund Bill of 2021. And in our estimation, this all is towards an act of corruption. This is what they're trying to do. They are trying to siphon off, as they say, the oil wealth of this country. And folks, we're just not going to allow it at all. I am tremendously privileged to be joined today by members of Parliament, Amanzo Walton Desir. I also have with me Member of Parliament Rita Fernandes, and I also have with me Member of Parliament Ricky Ramsarup. And guys, we were scheduled to talk on this issue today at 12 o'clock when we were alerted that the installer Irfan Ali was going to be speaking on the very subject matter, and more directly spoke to the Natural Resources Fund Bill. And it was a bizarre statement or exchange. Very angry. That being said, I want to invite my guest this afternoon, again, Amanzo Walton Desir. I have with me Member of Parliament Ricky Ramsarup, and I have also Rita Fernandes. Guys, welcome to the podcast, Below the Belt.
Good afternoon, Sherry. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me.
It's our privilege.
Thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, Sharon and colleagues. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Guys, let us know, those of you who are listening, the listening public, let us know if you were getting any feedback out there. We were having some challenges with the audio as we came out, but good to see so many of you joining the podcast, even though we are pretty late, having had to wait for this madness that we heard from Irfan Ali. We see you out there, Michelle Butts and Patricia Kissoon, Rami Leander, Linda Thomas and Myrtle Hines, Gloria Chester, Deshaun Alexander, Karen Clark, all you fantastic folks who are joining us for the podcast. And guys, we want to encourage you to share the podcast. We encourage you, we want to see those emojis as well. And we're discussing today towards an act of corruption, the PPP's amendment to the Natural Resources Fund Bill 2021. Guys, you will have listened to the installed President Irfan Ali. What did you make of his statement or ramblings? Amanda, could we start with you?
Sure thing. Sharon, respectfully, it would have been better if he had not spoken on this matter. Because what we heard earlier was a bizarre attempt to shove down the throats of Guyanese people a most distasteful piece of legislation. In fact, I have dubbed it the boldest act of thievery, thuggery, and all-out gangsterism against the people of Guyana, shrouded in legislative garb. What the PPPC administration is attempting to do is to rob the Guyanese people, the present and future generations, of the proceeds of the exploitation of our natural resources. It is that simple. And they're attempting to do that through legislation that has received backlash from all quarters of this country, from civil society, from the parliamentary opposition, from the political opposition. But yet you see Irfan Ali coming out to say to the people of Guyana and to quote unquote give his word.
Isn't that madness?
That they will
trust me.
Invest.
I ain't gonna tea from y'all. Trust me. Trust me, the Messiah. I ain't gonna tea from y'all.
No, but Sharon, But Shara, the point must be made that this is the same finale that said to the Henry family that he will leave no stone unturned to bring them justice.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
the same government that promised public servants a proper increase and turned around and taxed 7% increase. This is the same
Yep.
government that has promised to create 50,000 jobs, yet the job index is showing that particularly among women, the employment rate significantly declined.
Mhm.
We must trust him.
Mhm. And it is not about trusting whoever's the head of state. It is about having the checks and balances in the legislation so that we don't have to trust the persons who's at the top. The mechanisms are inbuilt into the legislation, which tells us, for instance, that the National Resource Fund, it does these things, ensuring that volatility in natural resource revenues do not lead to volatile public spending. It ensures that the national resource revenues, the money coming in from the oil and gas, do not lead to a loss of economic competitiveness, and also fairly transferring natural resource wealth across generations to ensure that the future generations benefit from natural resource wealth. And finally, it says, using this natural resource wealth to finance national development priorities, including any initiative aimed at realizing an inclusive green economy. If I said, don't worry the checks and balances, don't worry how much people on the board, don't worry who's the chairman, don't worry who got to appoint these people. Trust me. Give us a break. Rita, Ricky.
Sharad, when I listened to this entire rambling that went on by Irfan Ali, there is just one thing that I can say. First of all, a big announcement was made that he's coming for a discussion on the Natural Resources Fund bill, but I don't know how they define the word discussion, because what we listen to is Irfan Ali asking questions himself, answering them himself.
The apex of
Going on to
badness.
say thank you for joining me. Absolutely no scrutiny.
And this is how they
No
consult.
was
They ask the questions and answer them.
asked one single question on this bill that he so come as though he wants to defend. And like Manzi rightly said, it would have been better if he had said absolutely nothing. I think the rambling that went on, all the political rambling that went on, is just an insult to the people of this country. I think it was completely disrespectful. The comments that came from him, basically, the first thing I pointed out was his justification. One of the first things he said is why is there a need for a new natural resource fund bill? And his first words out his mouth, oh well, it was a campaign. This was a campaign promise. This is a level of justification that he is bringing to the people of this country when it comes to spending billions of dollars. He went on to speak about the board of directors, and it's just, he just conveniently tried to exclude the fact that he is the one that will be picking the persons that will be on this board. Shared, you would know as of right now, no opposition member of parliament has been asked to sit on any board, because that is the type of scrutiny that these people talk about. When they talk about scrutiny, this is what they mean. They mean that we're going to take people from different arms of the PPP, and we're going to put them there to sit down and to just carry out our mandate. That's the accountability that they speak of. I think one of the most alarming thing is what he went on to justify by saying that there is other methods of accountability, when he sought to say that they would have to be parliamentary approval. Now, Sharon, anybody that have been following Parliament since the PPP took office last year would know that the parliamentary opposition is practically muzzled on everything. When there are serious matters and questions to be asked at the level of Parliament, the parliamentary opposition, the AP and UAFC, has been muzzled throughout. Questioning has been limited throughout. And then when you talk about the Auditor General having the ability to audit these projects that will be carried out, the general public knows
Auditor
what
General
is
could
going
barely
there.
manage what he got there. The president, same in South Irfan Ali, instructed the Auditor General to audit the COVID spending. The Auditor General said that COVID, preventing the COVID funding from being audited,
And another thing, he spoke
and we're
about
still waiting.
the Public Accounts Committee the report will come to the Public Accounts Committee for them to do their work. The public know the PPP used their majority on the Public Accounts Committee to remove the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, David Patterson, because they want to make very well sure that they tell the people of this country it is their way or no way. And that is what is being done at every walk that we're seeing right now. This bill was designed to give the PPP, their friends and cronies, the ability to take every cent of the money that comes from oil to enrich themselves and enrich their family. The poor people of this country will be even more impoverished at the end of all of this. That is the fact before us right now.
Thanks, Rita. MP Ramsey, what did you make of this presentation by the installed Irfan Ali?
Sharad, good evening to all your listeners and your viewers there, and to my two beautiful ladies. Look, Sharad, this is total chaos. I don't think he has a clue what we were talking about, and I don't think he got instruction from the vice president. I think there was a miscommunication somewhere for the press conference. He closed the press conference because of the strong call from the civil society and the other groups, like the Article 13 and so on. So you're forced to say something. He wanted to defend this bill by calling our bill, because of the no confidence motion that was passed, that the bill is unconstitutional. He also went on to say, because they, as when they were in opposition, they went into parliament, that makes the bill, the act illegal. So if an opposition walks out of parliament, it means, are you telling me that all the bills can become illegal? Is that what he's telling us? So therefore we should walk out of all the bills that we are not satisfied with. So continue to hello?
Go ahead, Ricky.
Yes, Ricky, we're hearing you.
We continue to talk about transparency. They remove an entire oversight committee where we, as a government, include 22 people or persons on that committee, made up of government, opposition, civil society, women's group, community organizations, the bar association, the youth groups, the religious organizations, the accountants, a whole host of others on that committee. How can you come to this nation and say that our bill or our act then, the 2019 Act, is not transparent? Why is it that the civil society and the other groups are coming out calling for them to stop this bill not to go through in the voting process in Parliament if the bill is not being transparent? Richard, I don't think he has a clue what he's talking about. I don't think the president this entire president has a clue what he's talking about. He's talking about diversification. He's talking about expenditure. Let me tell you, when you examine, and they had a clause inside their bill now, as soon as this bill passes in Parliament, they're going to withdraw all the funds from the Natural Resources Fund that we created. Every single dollar will become removed from there. The Norwegian did, they uses 90% of their earnings, the fund that they call a pension fund, that invested in over 9,000 companies around the world, 27 countries to be precise. So when he's talking about investment, he's talking about his manifesto. He is bringing his manifesto to say that the people has elected them based on their manifesto, so he has a right to select.
To thief the people money. He got a right to thief the money.
And he's the president that make that decision. That is a stupid argument.
Yep, he has a right to
It's a
teach people money.
nonsensical argument.
He was elected. He got a mandate as though they win by such a large margin, right? He behaved as though they get the kind of win that Mayor Motley got in 2018 in Barbados. He think he win everything. They got a mandate. Huh? They got a mandate for corruption. That's what he's trying to tell us. And then he makes the bizarre statement: the old bill is unconstitutional and illegitimate because it was passed after the no confidence motion. He is judge, jury, and executioner. He's the High Court. He's the whole judiciary and the Parliament.
Everything. Judge, jury, executioner.
Amanza?
Sherrod, as my colleagues mentioned,
Go ahead, Ricky.
as my colleagues mentioned, that you cannot put about the opposition. He keeps stressing that the opposition is in power. And tell us and start to circumvent this whole entire thing and saying that your bill is the best one and this and so on. Why is everybody so upset about it? The private sector that they're boasting about was booted on this one. But they didn't have a clue what was in this natural resources fund.
The wicked,
All they know
man,
that
the
they get
wicked.
tweaked on this bill. That's all they know.
MP Walton is here? MP France?
Jared, I will say this. It ought to alarm every Guyanese. And I will encourage all of us to obtain a copy of the two bills and to read them. And I do this because we are talking about our future. This piece of legislation has the ability to make or break Guyana's economic future. This is the piece of legislation that will determine whether the proceeds from our oil will go to the projects as they are intended or they will fuel corruption. Sherrod, I want to point out that this new bill that they have proposed has all but removed public oversight of the fund. If one looks at the 2019 bill, you would see that there's an entire part dedicated to public oversight of the fund. There's an establishment of a public accountability and oversight committee. There's a provision for the budget of this committee. There's provision for the reporting of this committee. What that oversight committee, with a very clear mandate to examine whether the government is prudently managing and investing our money, what that has been whittled away to is a subsection in section 6. And the mandate of it is the committee shall provide non-governmental oversight of the fund. What does that mean? So you're moving from an act that says very, very clearly that the public oversight mechanism, they have 4 very clear functions: to monitor and evaluate the government's compliance with the act, to monitor and evaluate whether the fund is being managed properly, and to provide an independent assessment of the management of the fund and withdrawals from the fund. And as well, they had the mandate to facilitate public consultations on the fund and on the management of the fund. That has all been removed, and it is important that the people of Guyana understand this. That has been removed. They are now to provide non-governmental oversight and to receive reports from the board of directors. Sherrod, can you confirm whether I'm coming through clearly?
Yes, crystal clear at my end. And I don't see any challenges based on
We
the
are hearing
comments
you,
I'm seeing
Amanda.
on social media either. So
Great.
go right ahead.
So we have to bear that in mind. The other point that Irfan Ali mentioned, which I think we ought to bring to the public's attention, is this issue of the minister determining the economically sustainable amount. If you look at the 2019 bill, you will see in the first schedule that there is an entire section on guidance as to how this amount is arrived at, calculating the fiscally sustainable amount. The formula is included in the 2019 Act. So this is not something that the minister could just wake up and determine in the manner that Irfan Ali is suggesting he could. So that is the first thing that he has to be called out on. That is another thing he has to be called out on, rather. The other issue is that they have removed all of the safeguards because, look, what they're basically saying is that they have provided the calculation on the annual withdrawals. So they could say we need money for this, and as long as it is within the ceiling, we will withdraw it. So they don't care if it has an adverse effect on the economy. They don't care if it causes inflation. They don't care. They have put in the most lax criteria of simply putting a ceiling on the fund, rather than having criteria in place that set out how and when you access the fund. So they're setting up our country for a grand heist, and every Guyanese must come out against it.
Guys, it is quite interesting. I think the whole presentation was bizarre, and I think we will look back and hopefully not too long in the future when they're out of office and see that this was the day we saw the beginnings, if no other time, the making of a dictatorial. Here was Irfan Ali installed, asking the nation, after removing the gutting this act of the safeguards, as Amanza articulated it, and as Rita said early on in our discussion, asking himself questions and answering them. This is the apex of madness. Right? Who you want to appoint the board of governor? This is like I don't even want to say this is a big market kind of behavior, because it will be to degrade the people still not big market. Who you want to appoint the board of governors? The people elect me. It is bizarre. I can't put it any other way. And this is a dictatorship we are dealing with and must confront head on. Perhaps that is why the publisher of Kaito News, Glenn Lal, said that there should be massive protests tomorrow at the sitting of the National Assembly. Kaito News publisher said that. And then the Starbuck News said that this bill is deficient. That's how they characterize this natural resource fund bill. Deficient. Guys, jump in at any point.
You're absolutely correct, Sherrod. Persons need to understand, and I implore that persons go read both the bill that we have from 2019 and then the act that we have from 2019 rather, and this bill that will be debated tomorrow. And you will see the vast difference. You will see the contrast. You will see every single part and every aspect of oversight and accountability that they have gotten from the current act that we have. I want persons to understand quite clearly that, and let me read, Sure, just permit me to read directly from the bill that we are discussing.
Go ahead.
In the bill, they say there shall be a board of 5 directors of the fund, which are comprised of not less than 3 nor not more than 5 members, who shall be appointed by the president, one of whom shall be appointed chairperson by the president. So immediately not only, well, they were talking about the fact that they're going to get one person from the to be appointed by the National Assembly, and then one from the private sector. We know what that means. This is a PPP board, basically. That is what it said. And then the president is going to come and say, well, I choose you from among the cohorts to be the chairperson of this board. What persons need to understand is actual responsibility for the board, and the responsibilities are spelled out. It says the overall management of the fund. This board of persons that will be selected by the president will be responsible for the overall management of the fund. What is most important is that the board of directors shall be responsible for preparing the investment mandate.
Mhm.
Now, and I want even the persons, sure, you have a lot of persons that are supporters of the PPP that actually come and listen to your podcast, and they listen to your program in the evenings as well. And they're on right now, and they need to understand what this means. It simply means that the same man, Ali, that just went out and said, oh, the people elected us. They elected us, and based on our manifesto, they elected us to do this. And in the same breath, he went on to say, and now I, as president, will go and select whoever I want to select,
basically.
and I will put them
And
to
spend it
take
however I want,
control
spend
of all
it.
the oil resources that you, the people, were hoping that you are going to be benefiting from. No, it's not going to happen like that. I'll select these people, and they're going to be in charge of the investment mandate moving forward, because I say this is the way it is, and this is the way it shall be. And that is what we are seeing before us right now. It is, I believe it is important for us to point out at this time that the only reason that Ali actually came on television and did what he just did is because of the extreme pressure that he's getting from civil society right now. It is not just the opposition members of parliament, it's not just the APNU AFC that is going out and speaking on this matter. He is getting extreme pushback from civil society. And because of that, he attempted to come and justify it and failed miserably, as everybody can see, in bringing any justification to this madness that they are bringing before the parliament tomorrow. I want to pinpoint that even tomorrow when we go to parliament, I would not be surprised if this bill is put to be debated in the dead of night. I think even Kaitor News was hinting to that some bit. So persons, when persons are sleeping and Guyanese are sleeping, we may be in the National Assembly speaking on something of such significance important to our country and the development of our country. The monies that we are getting from oil, the bill of 2019 under the AP and UFC was making sure that those monies were put towards the enhancement of the ordinary Guyanese, that those monies had such extreme oversight from civil society, that there were persons on that committee from every aspect of society, 22 persons put there to make sure that they represent every nook and corner of our country, to make sure that the money is properly diverse and no one is left without their interests being presented at the level of that committee. That has been completely gutted. The people cannot speak about democracy and accountability and oversight. They are masters of removing any aspect of democracy, any aspect of accountability, and any aspect of oversight. And I agree with Glenn Lal when he says, of course, civil society should come out and they should be protesting this, because as the ordinary person, your families, your homes, your standard of living will not be affected in no positive way in the way in which this bill that is going to be debated tomorrow is formulated. Current construct gives absolutely no benefit to the enhancement of your standard of living as a citizen of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
The folks who are now joining us, welcome to the podcast Below the Belt. I'm your host, Sherrod Uncle. I'm privileged to be joined today by members of Parliament, Amanzo Walton. This year I have Georgia Finance with me, and I have also Ricky Ramsrup. And we're discussing, folks, we are discussing these dastardly amendments proposed by the PPP to the Natural Resources Fund Act. because it is already law, but they are now coming to amend certain sections of it again to control the wealth of this country. A few of them, they've already gained control of the government illegally, illegitimately, and now they're coming to siphon off the wealth that belongs to you and your children. That is what this discussion is about today. And as Charita said, as Amanza and Ricky said, members of parliament, Glenelg has called for this massive protest tomorrow. He says that this bill should be dumped. His newspapers, the Kaito News, refer to it as a suspect natural resources bill. And he said they're trying to ram it down the house of the parliament. And that is precisely what they're trying to do. Starbuck News, for its part, in a very scathing editorial just today, says that the National Resource Fund bill is gravely deficient. Gravely deficient. And the first paragraph of that editorial reads, the PPPC must not attempt to railroad this bill through Parliament, as it has with similar pieces of legislation in its earlier incarnation. Any such attempt will irreparably damage the claim that President Ali's government is seeking some type of one Guyana, where all of the constituency of this country, not only the PPPC's base, rather, are fully invested and involved in steering the future of Guyana on the wings of the oil revenues that have begun to accrue. What they want to do is thief the money, to put it plainly. They want to thief the money, and they're willing to desecrate this act, the National Resource Fund Act of 2019, to get their way. That is what they're trying to do here, and rob the Guyanese people. Amanza.
Exactly, Sharon. You put it quite correctly. Look, the people of Guyana must understand that we are talking about the future of this nation. We are, as Joretta says, this will not redound to the benefit of any Guyanese, save and except the PPP and their cronies. What bothers me is that this lax framework that has been put in place to govern perhaps one of the most important aspects of our economic development is coupled with the complete decimation of the procurement system. Sharon, it is a recipe for corruption. We are talking about a government that has a very poor record of investment. This is the same government that tell me that if we invest in Skeldon, sugar is dead. This is the same government that is trying to shove down the throats of Guyanese a gas-to-shore pipeline project and several other projects devoid of environmental impact assessments. We are saying to the Guyanese people that as members of the opposition, we will do our part. We will stand in the National Assembly and we will put on record for all and sundry and for the purpose of history, for people to know about the evils that this government is attempting to met out on Guyanese. But it is for each and every Guyanese citizen to understand that you have a stake in stopping this. When I saw the notification, I was hopeful for a moment that maybe, just maybe, Irfan Ali was going to say that we will withdraw this bill, we will send it to consultation.
And I thought so too.
And because we believe in transparent government. Instead, what we saw was a doubling down of his position. And by goodness, if this does not signal what the intent of the PPPC regime is for Guyanese, I don't know what will.
Indeed.
Sure.
Go right ahead, Ricky. MP Ramsur, go right ahead.
So this is what I call a treacherous behavior. And I want to tell Jericho, a friend, that when you want to thief, what time in the day you just go and thief? Or what time in the night you just go and thief? So when you want to try to pass the bill in the late night, only thief man does that. No, Sharad, there's once this bill is passed, there's no stopping. Guyana's going to head down to a path where we can end up in the resource course. Resource course that everyone speak about. We have so many advice from day one when we started this oil and gas exploration. But this government seems bent to go down into that path. Where they wanted to empty the first set of money completely from that fund. Who's going to stop them if they want to put another $200 million US dollars for the Skelton factory? Who's going to stop them if they want to pump another $100 million US dollars for the specialty hospital that we never saw? Who's going to stop them from pump another $200 million US dollars of the hydro project that we don't know where half the money was stolen in that road? That a guy named Flip
Motilal
Who's going to stop
and the
them
Michael
from-
Falls project. Talk the things.
So my point here is that there will be a path of no recovery. If you look right across the border of Venezuela, Sharad, you will see what the resource force has done to that country. It creates a humanitarian crisis where the Venezuelans are fleeing the country because of hyperinflation rages. Basic health care and food distribution failed, Sharad. The country has become a haven for transitional criminals. You know what that means? Is that those things are happening here? Is that hyperinflation happening in Guyana? We've not done withdraw the funds yet, but it's happening. So imagine resource powers go to imposition the policy of resource nationalism, meaning that they wanted to remove, like for example, they remove that oversight committee and put it into a politicized manner or a format or a structure. He's complaining about the minister and the power lies everything into the minister, but he just transferred power into the president for himself. And they create what they call a three-man gang. The president, the vice president, and the minister, the senior minister that they have now. The three-man gang is going to control this entire thing.
Ricky, let us call the thing for the Guyanese people what it is. It's not no three-man gang. Irfan is a puppet for Jack Dio. That's what's happening here. You understand me? And Irfan is beholden to Jack Dio's wishes and fancies because he made him president. And all of this goes to Jack Dio. It's not a three-man gang. Ashley can't tell Jack Dio how to spend the money, nor Irfan. That is really the problem there. And so the Americans could sit back and think transparency and accountability and good governance happening if they want to bury their head in the sand. And the British and the Canadians, right? Or they're going to come out with a very strong statement that they will not sit by idly and see the Guyanese people. The same people Sierra Leone seem to have loved more than we here who with each other all we life. The same people who talk about the will of the Guyanese people. Now is the time to speak up or shut up.
Exactly. So Sherrod, I'm standing in Parliament to call for an international sanction the time they pass this bill. International sanction I'll be calling for. So I'm hoping that they'll be listening to that. And that is what we have to do, Sherrod.
Indeed.
Call them out.
Indeed. In MP Finance, jump in there. I've seen a number of groups come out in condemnation and against what the administration is trying to do. They range from Policy Forum Guyana to the Trades Union Congress to Transparency Institute of Guyana and the Article 13 group. But we, the people of this country, we can't sit down. We got a lot of folks listening to us on social media. Folks, when the time comes for us to move off of social media. I hope we got boots on the ground. Paul Page and Juliet Hines, Orintia Gano and Esther Blue and Colin Barnwell, Marlon Camini Van V. Folks, we gotta move this thing off of social media onto the ground. Both aspects are equally important. Equally important. Some of you who are in the diaspora, you could share the live stream so that folks can hear what is happening in this country. They are thieving the wealth of this country before our very eyes. Before our very eyes. And some of the very government MPs and government ministers, they will have to decide very soon if they're going to be part of this kleptocracy. They're going to have to decide that very soon. Jurita and Amanda, MP Walton Desir and Ferdinand.
Yes, sure. There's I see even that the news sources that article today was that civil society groups call on government to deport controversial natural resources fund the bill, and this is what has been going on from the very day that they presented the bill in Parliament. So I think 8 days ago, in a joint statement that the in Congress, the Authority and Transparency Institute, Guyana, they are calling for this to be for, because basically I can quote them according to the source article as saying we consider it entirely unreasonable, even in the best circumstances, for the people of Guyana and their parliamentary representatives to have working days to consider the text and implications of undoubtedly the most significant piece of legislation of PPPC administration. Society did not bring something of such significance to Guyanese, and in a matter of 8 days, push it in, not just a matter of 8 days, Jared, you put it just before Christmas. Then now, as the National Assembly is going to go there tomorrow, and they're going to finalize, and they're going to have that, they're going to abuse, bastardize their one seat majority in the House, pass this most egregious act against the people of this country. I think this is the worst thing that the PPP will be doing since its very first day in office. They have been doing so much wrong every single time they set foot in the parliament. But I think this is the worst that they will be doing, when they are not just taking what is before them, but now they are putting a piece of legislation in place that will be rooting every cent and hope of a better life from each and every Guyanese and all families that reside in this country. That is what is going on. The future was dim, but now the future is doomed when this bill is passed in the National Assembly tomorrow, because they will use their one seat majority to go ahead and pass this bill, and Guyanese will suffer because of it. And Amanda was pointing out a very important point. We all have our role to play. As the opposition members of parliament, we will go and we will speak vigorously as we are duty bound to do by the people of this country. We will go and represent to the best of our ability. And I dare say that there has not been a single matter that has been put to the floor in which the PPP has won a debate in the National Assembly since they took office last year. Not once. And I dare someone to show me differently. We have been representing in the House, and I know that this particular matter has gotten the interest of civil society, and I'm very thankful for that. So I look forward to see civil society out doing their part, and I know that if the PPP is continuing on a very dangerous path, and they are forcing persons to come out and act in the best of their capacity to speak out and to act out against what they are doing. Tomorrow, I expect everyone to be speaking out and acting out against this vile assault on Guyanese.
Vile assault really and truly characterizes it, because there was Irfan Ali, catfishing stall president, come out to chastise Guyanese people, because we dare to speak out on our constitutional rights and what belongs to all of us. It belongs to the PPP. The oil and gas wealth in this country don't belong to Freedom House. It belongs to all the peoples of this country. But he comes out huffing and puffing. Who do you want to appoint the board? And who do you want to appoint the chairman? And a whole set of nonsense. And you want to talk about one Guyana? Where? Where it is? We are all looking for it. Beginning with the distribution of the COVID cash grant, we saw how that went. We see with our own eyes. Oh, we can take a lamb stick for going and look for it in the dark of night. When we see what this installed administration gives, I say again, members of the current installed regime, ministers and parliamentarians, you will have to decide which part of history you are going to stand on. You will have to decide that. Shame on all of you, and shame on Irfan Ali. Amanza.
Sharon, I want to encourage our Guyanese brothers and sisters to research, for example, the Norway model of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They hold the largest, if I'm not mistaken, sovereign wealth fund in the world. And Google is an excellent resource. Google it and see how a properly managed sovereign wealth fund, the level of development and the quality of life it has been able to deliver to the citizens of Norway. The AP and UFC administration took counsel from the experience of Norway. And that was the model that was adapted and adopted for Guyana. So you are right. People of Guyana have to decide which side of history they will fall on. Because what we are in danger of losing is a beautiful opportunity to create the Guyana of our dreams, proper, prudent fiscal management. But in our silence, we may be complicit in signing a death sentence, as it were. We have to stand up. If it means boots on the ground, that is what we must do. This is about our future. This is about our children's future. And it is about the future of this nation. And we cannot allow the greed, the avarice, the utter corruption that is the PPPC to take that away from us. We have fought and we have struggled from the days of colonialism for self-determination, to have a few greedy men who sit at the top there to rob our children of their future. And it is that serious, and it is that urgent. And so every Guyanese who has an interest in seeing a peaceful and prosperous Guyana needs to be outside of the Parliament tomorrow to make their displeasure known. This is what you call people's power. And the people of Guyana must no longer sit idly by and allow the PPPC believe that they can do whatever they like.
Yep, indeed. And if there was ever a time when this country needs to be united around an issue, this is it. Because this affects not only us, as the very fund and the very act they're seeking to dismantle tells us. This engages all of us and future generations. Again, this Natural Resources Fund is supposed to be safeguarding. I love what the 2019 Act says. It says fairly transferring natural resources natural resource wealth across generations to ensure that the future generations benefit from natural resource wealth. Future generations transferring wealth across generations. These jagabats seeking to transfer wealth from one another or to one another, not across generations. And then you got the big jagabat characterized as a demon just over the weekend. You understand why now? Do we understand why now? They hijack the government. They're coming out to hijack the economy and the future wealth for your children and your children's children. And them alone must sit down and decide. Because you get 32, 33 seats in National Assembly, another man get 31, and you believe that gives you the leeway, carte blanche to do whatever you want to do. Well, this government, this installed regime, they're about to see what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force in the people of this country.
Karen?
Jump right in there, man. So go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I want to make a very important point.
Go right ahead.
Using the Norway example. Norway is a country of about 5 million. Because of the management of Norway's sovereign wealth fund, or the equivalent of the natural resource fund, each citizen is worth or has in reserve $200,000 every citizen, irrespective of age. People of Guyana, we have to understand that how we handle our monies that come in from the oil industry will have a direct relationship to the quality of life. You look at the crime rate in Norway, for example. Look at how low it is. You want to talk about the reduction of the crime rate in Guyana? It is tied to how we manage our oil revenues and how we invest and how we are able to improve the quality of lives of Guyanese. So for those of us who sit and think that, this is them boys up there fighting about this, understand that it directly touches and concerns and impacts you. It determines whether the government is going to continue to hand down paltry salary increases to hard-working public servants while pumping billions into an industry that Bar Jaglio has recently had to come publicly to admit it is all but dead.
Mm-hmm.
History will absolve us for sounding the warning. It is for the people of Guyana to take heed.
Mm-hmm.
We are here for you 100%. We will do our part.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot do this alone. As Jaretta said, we are thankful that civil society has raised their voice against this atrocity. But it is for the ordinary Guyanese man and woman who believe in their heart of hearts that they are entitled to a better standard of living in their own country. It is about them. It is about us. It is about all of us. Because as Martin Carter said, all are involved and all are indeed consumed. And so it's something that we have to take seriously. I want to point out as well, Sherrod, that should we fail to stop this atrocity in its tracks, when things degenerate, those who are foisting this piece of legislation on the land, they will hop on planes, their families will leave on planes, and it is the working class and the poor Guyanese that will have to bear the brunt of the fallout.
Indeed. Indeed. Guys, final thoughts on the issues, on this issue towards an act of corruption, the PPP's amendment to the National Resource Fund Bill of 2021. We're looking towards program time. We know we came on quite late, but we wanted to get that bizarre statement out of the catfishy of an alley out of the way, and then come back, because we were dealing with one and the same issue on our podcast today. Final thoughts, guys, as we look to program time.
Sir,
Go right ahead, Ricky.
look, we are going to witness and will be witnessing one of the most poorest governance system in Guyana in terms of managing our oil resources, our oil fund. We are going to head to a path, as I said earlier, of no recovery. The government is trying to repeal an act that is just about 2 years old. Whenever a government wants to repeal an act for that less time, it means either they are bankrupt, it's either they wanted to spend the money for their personal benefit, which we have seen in many countries that have done, including, as I mentioned, our western neighbor there, Venezuela. It is now happening also in Trinidad under that last regime that was there. Saw them that the people that moved a strike that administration out. They're heading to a path where the overarching principle that we have formed this 2019 Act, we have removed completely from that. That is what this bill is about to do. Not only that oversight committee, but the principle of good governance, transparency, credibility, and all those words, the fairness, the equitable distribution of resources, that is what the APNU AFC have taken into consideration when we formulate that bill. And as Amanda rightfully points out, of the Norwegian principle, some of which we have adopted and used some experts to put into this direction. The president's statement here, and I wanted to talk about it because Amanda mentioned investment, and investment is an important part, and that is where the Norwegian can secure for current and future generation in their country. The president speaks about their manifesto. You know what their manifesto boasts about? It's only infrastructure development and this and education. That is a must. But when you want to spend that money in your own economy here without having a secure international investment, you are going to heat your economy up. I don't know if you understand what that means. You're going to heat your economy up, and that's going to create the effects of that will be high inflation. You'll find that food prices will increase. I just about before we start this program, I read a report from Nightly News, where Guyana is the second highest GDP earner, 34% Where is that money going?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This government has created something called a borrow and spend economy.
Borrow, spend, and thief.
We have moved this deficit to over $100 billion. You know what it means for this country? So that is the reason why they want to repeal this act, so that they can put their hands in the cookie jar, sticky fingers in the cookie jar. That is what they want to do, Sharad. And I want to leave that here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricky. Amansa, Jurita?
Sharad,
Go right ahead, MP
in
Finance.
closing, what I can say, I want to advise Guyanese tomorrow, as we go to the National Assembly to debate this bill. I encourage persons to join. These debates are always live, and I encourage persons to join and to witness for themselves the arguments that will be put forward from the opposition members of parliament, and further the lack of substance in the arguments that will be put forward from the government side of the house, because that is what is always done. I encourage persons to join, persons from overseas and so forth. But most importantly, Cheryl, I encourage persons to get out there and to protest this act, this vile act against Guyanese, against our country, against our future. We need to speak out. As you rightly said, and Amanza rightly said, you need to record your voices, and your voice needs to be recorded on the right side, as history is going to mark what is going to go down in the National Assembly tomorrow. We cannot continue to just be at home and just type on our computers and say, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong. No, you need to get out and act out. You need to lift your voices in actions also. We all have a responsibility to play our part. And I would say this in closing, Sherrod. As Guyanese listening to this podcast, when you look around in your homes at this very moment, when you look at your lives at this very moment, let this be the defining moment in your life. And if you are comfortable and satisfied with how you live right now, then continue doing what you're doing or continue to not do what you're not doing. Because after tomorrow, any hope of this better life and this better standard of living will be washed away from each and every one of you if you do not get up and speak out against this atrocity. And as the quote says, there's a very famous quote out there, shared, that says the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. So we have seen the evil, and now we call on the good men to speak out to stop this before it happens.
Indeed, MP Finance, indeed. MP Walton, this year, final thoughts.
Sherrod, I just wanted to, I couldn't think of a better final thought than expressed by Jeretta. And I just really wanted to endorse all that she has said. And really to say to my Guyanese brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in time when you have to decide. And that moment in time is upon us. And we have to be sober, we have to be vigilant. Because our children will not forgive us if we do not stand up against this atrocity.
Excellent. MPs Amanzo Watson, Desire, Georgia Finance, and Ricky Ramsroop, I want to thank each of you for being on the program today on our podcast, Below the Belt, and sharing your insights as we interrogated this whole issue of towards an act of corruption, the PPP's amendment to the National Resource Fund Bill of 2021. Guys, what I want to do tomorrow, this is carte blanche corruption that is going to take place tomorrow in the National Assembly, as our colleague Ganesh Paul said elsewhere, it is legal thievery. That's what's going down here, folks. And we are going to be out there tomorrow, the National Assembly. We hope we got boots on the ground, folks. As MP Amanzo Walton said, now is the time, if there was any moment in this nation's history, when we got to safeguard not only our interests, but the future generations. Now is the time, folks. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us. And thanks to our MPs, again, Amanzo Walton, Desire Georgia Finance, and Ricky Ramsroop. Thanks, guys, for being on the podcast today. And thanks also to all of our listening public. I see Pinky Kerr is on with us, Sheena Hazel and Konaya Mingo. I see also Sean Gibson and Marilyn Lorimer, all you fantastic folks. Thanks for joining us, folks. When we ask you guys to come on board and to partner with us, it's so that we can build out these programs. We can bring more information to you. We can go to the information, get it and bring it to you. When we ask you guys to partner with us, nobody getting rich here for nobody. But it's to put us in a position where we can fight the Jagabats. And so we're asking you guys today to partner with us. As long as within your means, we set for as little as $5 per month. That's 1,000 Guyana dollars. $10 per month. 15, 20. Put us in a position to contend with the Jagabats out there. We're available via the Cash App platform Our Cash App handle is the dollar symbol or the dollar sign in the ring 592. Again, that's the dollar sign in the ring 592. We're available via PayPal. Our PayPal address or email address to get us via PayPal is in the ring 592 at gmail.com. In the ring 592 at gmail.com. Everything lowercase. In the ring 592 at gmail.com. We are available via the MMG system, that is a local cash app, the GT&T platform, MMG. Our number there is 627-6963. 627-6963. Again, 627-6963. You need any guidance, you can WhatsApp us at that number as well. We're also available, guys, via Western Union, via MoneyGram. All of the funds, all of it, goes whether to building out these programs, whether it is capacity building with our staff, creating these programs, airing them, curating them, getting the information for you, going where the information is. That's what we use your funds for. And I'm certain by now you got a sense that we're being good stewards of your finances. We thank you guys for joining us. I see Charlene Madison is with us, Randy Cole and Tasha Silat, and is it Koana Mingo again, Patricia Kiswood, all you fantastic folks, Margaret Padmore. Thanks for joining the podcast today. Below the Belt, it's been my privilege to be your host, Sherry Duncan. Share the live stream as you go. We want to see those emojis as well. Guys, we continue this evening in the ring, our affiliate program. That's why we use all of their platforms as well. We're going to see you back here, 8 p.m. sharp in the ring. And again, our apologies for coming late, but we had to get the Jagabat, that installed catchfish president. We wanted to hear what he had to say. We thought he was going to pull back this dastardly piece of a bill that is being proposed to legalize thievery in this country. That has not been the case. They have dug in their heels to this wicked, demonic piece of legislation that they're proposing in the National Assembly for tomorrow. And because they have the numbers, they're going to pass it. But I'm appealing to all of the MPs across the aisle, government ministers and sitting as MPs, do the right thing tomorrow. Do the honorable thing tomorrow, or the future generations will judge you very harshly. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us, guys. See you back in the ring this evening at 8 p.m. Thanks for joining our podcast, Below the Belt. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe. We're also following the fact that Winston Jordan, on those trumped-up charges, was granted $3 million bail this morning. And we're tracking issues happening right now, fast moving in Barbados with that snap election that has been called by Prime Minister May Motley. We're going to be talking a little bit more about these issues this evening in the ring. Thanks for joining us for our podcast again, Below the Belt. It's been our privilege. Share the live stream. We want to see those emojis as well, even for those folks who are going to come back and listen to us a little later on. Thanks for joining us, guys. Stay safe.